What's going on, everybody? It is Wednesday and 7:30-ish. You know how it goes with us. We roll however we roll. Whenever we get on, we go. But I'm coming to you from, um, well, somewhere I haven't been in a while. It is the what's going to be the studio. As you can see on this side, there's still some stuff that's not fully built. You can't see the ladder that's over here. I was putting up lights. On this side was another thing. Back here, there should be a bunch of lights, but there's one. The TV should be on. This whole thing should be lit up with toys and all that stuff. And actually, we should be coming from a different angle where the other side of this is going to be seen. So, still got a lot going on. And it's the nature of the beast, man. When you got a full-time job and everything that's going on, what do you expect? So, it is the Geek Saga. I am your host, Eugene. I was hoping to see my co-host, David, but of course, because of our wonderful schedules, sometimes he can get on, sometimes he can't, but he is up at the base. I am at home. That's why I'm kind of able to do this. God, I don't even like the look of the camera because I'm using this camera. I'm not going to say what camera it is, but it is one of our hosts or affiliates cameras. But anyways, we do have a guest tonight. I'm really excited. We've been waiting for a while to be able to get him on. Met him at WonderCon, which was really cool because met a lot of people at WonderCon. But our guest tonight was really cool to come on. He does a ton of podcasts. He produces quite a few of them. So we are going to talk podcasting, and then we're going to talk a bunch of geek stuff because he said, geek stuff? I love geek stuff. So we're going to get into that. I know he's a Helldivers fan. I've yet to play it, but I know David's done it, and that's what I was hoping he'd get on. He could nerd out with our guests about it. But there's tons of other stuff we could talk about. Shoot. Anyways, guys, we're going to start off. As always, we love to talk about our affiliates. Let's see if I can get this up. And I'm telling you, it's been a rough day. Anyways, let's go with the first one, which is Ulanzi. The cool thing is that I actually can show you guys these things because I'm at home, and these things are awesome. These are Ulanzi little lights, the wands, whatever you want to call them when they turn on, which these ones aren't powered on because it's been a while. But they're like lightsabers too. But these were these are the wands that I was using a lot on the sides of this bench that I have here to light me up from the side. But now I've got high-tech lights going on up above me, which I still got to adjust. But anyways, Ulanzi is a great company. They've got lights. They've got rigs for your camera. If I had my freaking DSLR right now, I'd show you the camera rig that I have on it. It's great. We use them a lot. So when it comes to lights, and some of the lights that are on this are Ulanzi also. So again, a lot of great things that Ulanzi has, not just lights, but that's what I use them for. Click the link that's in our bio, sends you right over to them. You purchase from them, helps us out. So do that, guys. Also, next we've got Renegade Game Studios, which I would say, check out the game that's on my shelf. I don't have it up, but I do have it here, which is actually that Transformers game that's right there in the corner. It's a deck building game. Guys, if you know how to play 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, you can play all their RPGs. They don't just have deck builders, they got RPGs also. So they've got a lot of great IPs. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Transformers, My Little Pony. I always emphasize on My Little Pony. I don't know why, but trust me, I'm not a brony. But anyways, guys, they've got a lot of great IPs. Check them out. Click on the link that's in our bio. Again, it sends you over to them. You purchase from them. It helps us out, help them out. Next, we've got one of our favorites, and I don't mean that, guys. Everybody is our favorite. But these guys, Randy over at Legendary Subs, love this stuff. This is amazing stuff. Oh, wait. Do I have it right here? I do. Bam. Randy, I still got a bunch of cases. We're going to be taking over to Pasadena Con with us to check them out. But guys, these are focus streams. Look at that. Focus shots. Great stuff. Helps you get focus when you're playing video games. This is a really great thing to use. And I don't just say that because I like Randy. He's a big dude and probably could bench press me. But I say that because I actually have used it. I've used it on the range. That's where I've used it at, actually. And also when I'm editing, I need a little bit extra to be able to get going and stay focused. But if you want laser pinpoint accurate, check it out. Kraken is a great supplement. They've got mango kicking. Oops. That is Kickin' Mango Peach. This has got that like Mexican candy flavor to it. It's really good. Then they've got Blizzard Mojito, Pumpkin Sour Grape, and that they have Melon Mellow. It's a mouthful, I gotta say, it's really slow. But you go to them, purchase from them, use the code GeekSaga77, you get 10% off your first purchase. Go there, check them out, do it. All right. And last but not least, because we use them a lot, and that is Movo. The microphone that you're listening to me to is a UM300. It's a great microphone. I use it every time I'm here in the studio at home. I use those microphones when we go out. So if you see us at cons, all the microphones that we're using, they're all Movo mics. Great mics at great prices. So if you're getting started on podcasting or videography, whatever you want to do when it comes to you need audio, check Movo out. Great prices. Always have great sales on all their microphones. Check them out. Guys, again, affiliate link. Click on the bio, click on the link, sends you over there, purchase, help us out. All right, guys. So, bam. That is it for me with that stuff because we got to get our guests on because we want to have some fun and talk about that. And wait, before I do, I always got to open up a drink. Yeah, let's get this going because this time I got Liquid Death. But I got their new Liquid Death. This is Root Beer Wraith. Actually, it's really good. Oh, yeah, I think it's got to be a little colder, though. So it's sparkling water. It's not soda. It's sparkling water with a hint of root beer. I also got their Killer Cola sitting in the house. I want to check them out. Liquid Death, if you're listening, if you're watching, I love you guys. Please, please. Love you. Anyways, all right. Enough with that. Guys, it is time to bring on our guests. And I wanted to have our standard, Mr. Robinson. But you know what? I just want to bring him on because he is going to be my co-host for the night. Seeing how, again, David's not here, but that's all right. I love you, David. I really do. But let's bring in Mr. Caelan Biehn. What's going on, man?
Hey, man. What's up?
Oh, it's another wonderful day here out in Montclair. You're over in, like, Long Beach.
Yeah, I'm in Long Beach. It's nice over here. It's nice.
It's always nice by the beach. I mean, shoot, man, you got good weather down there.
Yeah, well, I work in the Valley, and I'm from the Valley, and it is too hot for me up there. So I moved down to Long Beach, and it's much better down here now, yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude. I worked out in the Valley for, like, 3 years, and I was like, nah. And there was one time, the place I was working at, the AC died, and it was like, nope. I called out, and I was like, I'm going home. I'm done. Can't do this anymore.
Yeah, one of the studios that I work out of is a converted garage, so it's not insulated, and the air conditioner that we have in there can't keep up with it. So, like, when we're trying to record episodes in, like, July and August and September, I got to warn all my guests, like, hey, just so you know, like, you got to come early in the morning or you're going to be sweating your ass off. So, trying to figure out that problem at the moment.
Yeah, the place that we were at was an industrial studio or industrial park. So it's the same thing. Freaking barely insulated, and we had a swamp cooler.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just like, oh my, yeah, it's pumping out cool air, but then you're like, God, it's freaking humid as hell in here. Yeah. So I know the feeling. But, dude, podcasting, man, this is something that we started talking about when I met you over at WonderCon. Mm-hmm. And you're like, yeah, I produced like 9 shows. I was like,
yeah.
So, like, seriously, you do 9 shows?
I just kind of lose count, honestly. Right now, I think I'm doing like 6 weekly podcasts. And then, I do some stuff for like audiobooks. I do stuff for people that just, want to start a podcast. So it's like, all right, here's 3, 8, 10 episodes. Get your feet wet. See if you like it. If you do, great. We'll keep going. If not, it's yours. Do something else with it. So it's just coming and going. Like, I have pods coming in and going out, and I'm getting on new ones and I'm losing others. And so it's kind of just like kind of a Rolodex of different podcasts. But like at the moment, I got like 3 or 4 really solid ones where we're putting out usually 2 episodes a week, a couple other weekly ones. And Yeah, I personally only have 2. The rest I'm just a producer for. So it's like other people's podcasts. I have 2, but the rest I'm just working for other people mostly.
Yeah, but that's still cool. I mean, come on. How many people can actually say, I'm a podcast producer and actually doing that for a living?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I've been trying to do it for a while, but I can't.
Well, I've been doing it since 2013 is when I got started. So I've been doing it for a while. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
So how did you get into doing this whole podcast, this crazy podcast thing?
So I was living in the Valley. I was going to school at Santa Monica Community College, and I was working at Coffee Bean, and I was doing just production work on the side, like PA work on sets and stuff. And so my dad is an actor. His name is Michael Biehn. Michael Biehn, who's been in, I think anybody on the Geek Saga would recognize. He's been in the Terminator, Aliens, Tombstone, The Rock, a couple big ones. And he went to be a guest on the Adam Carolla show back in 2013.
Okay.
So it was pretty early. I think Adam started his podcast in like 2010 or something like that. So, so he just went in to do the podcast. And when he was there, his wife, my stepmom, got to talking to their production team. They're like, oh, we're doing interviews right now for internships. So she was like, oh, Michael's got a couple sons that might be interested. So I went to go interview for an internship with Adam Carolla with my older brother. Actually, we both went together, and I ended up getting the job over him. I kind of came in. My brother's very kind of relaxed in that sense. He kind of came in like board shorts and flip flops. He didn't like bring a resume or anything. And then I came in all like, ready. And I think that kind of helped boost me a little bit into the spot. So, so then I interned for him at the start of 2013, all the way up until like August. And I think that's when they hired me full time over there. And then I worked for Adam Carolla doing the Adam Carolla show, but then, he had a bunch of other shows. Podcast One, who he, started working for, they gave me a couple shows. And so I was just doing a bunch of different shows until I left there. I quit in 2022. So I've just kind of been doing my own thing since then.
Oh, nice. So now, of course, we're seeing a lot of talk from James of Distance Learning. This guy likes to just jump in here and try to take James, stop it. Stop. But he had a good question, which was actually, so when you got into it, did you have a background of audio or anything like that? Or
no.
Cold?
I had none. The only experience I had was just working as a PA on like a production and being part of a production team. That was it. I had no other experience with audio or microphones or cameras or anything like that. So I was brand new.
Man, to come in brand new but you're coming in to work for Adam Carolla, it has got to be kind of nerve-wracking because you're kind of like,
yeah, it was, but he had a great team there and they all knew what they were doing. And I was coming in at the lowest level. So when I started out, I was just answering phone calls and doing lunch runs. And then slowly, the guys there that I'm still friends with today, they taught me how to do all that, audio stuff and work with all that. And it was great.
So once you got through with Adam Carolla, what was like, do you remember the first podcast that you did and produced?
Well, I kind of like, so I started working there, and then I very quickly started, like I said, Adam had a bunch of different podcasts. He had like the Adam Carolla under his name, the network Carolla Digital. He had the Adam Carolla Show, he had CarCast, he had Adam and Drew Show, the Dr. Drew Show, Ace on the House. He had a bunch of different ones, and one of them was called For Crying Out Loud, and that was his wife at the time's podcast. And so I got to start doing that very early on. I was working with under another producer, and then pretty quickly the other producer was like, all right, you know what you're doing enough at this point, and I have other work that I got to do. So I'm just going to kind of hand this show off to you. So that show, For Crying Out Loud, which I'm still doing like to this day, this is going to be like my last month actually doing it in May. That one I've been doing on my own for about 11, 12 years, something like that. And so when I left, I still kept doing that show. When I left, I didn't know if I wanted to do podcasting anymore. I was leaving and I was like, maybe I want to do something else. But I didn't have a job when I quit. I just quit. And so I didn't have any income. And so the producers the host of For Crying Out Loud said, hey, we'll keep paying you if you want to just do our podcast. And it was great. I would just go in once a week to record, and then I could do all my editing at home. So it was money coming in. And then on top of that, I have, so the team that I worked for, there was like 5 of us was like the core group, all Adam Carolla's guys. He had a bunch of guys. There was like a 5 core podcast group. And we started podcasting together in the studio, around like 2014, 2015, just, doing our thing. After the Adam Carolla show was done, we would do our show, The Water Cooler. And, we still do it to this day. We put out 2 episodes a week, and, one of the guys still works for Adam. Everyone else has gone on to other things, but yeah, we still record every week. We're still good friends, and it's a lot of fun. So I was still doing that podcast too after I left. So I never really got out of podcasting, and I never really like started my own. It's on my own thing. It just kind of bled into the next thing, sort of.
Dude, that's pretty cool that you're able, that you created your own job just by just doing it, just continued on,
Yeah.
Quit one, just blend it right in. You're just like, all right, let's keep going.
And I didn't even think I was going to do it. I was like, I don't know. I was having a bit of a crisis or whatever, but I was just feeling like, I don't know. I think I want to get out of this, or I want to change or something. And so I got into a very obscure area of fish ponds. And so, after I quit,
fish ponds?
Fish ponds. Yeah. A guy that I had worked with Adam ran an aquarium and fish pond business. And it was a month after I quit. And he essentially said, hey, if you need a day's pay, like, you can just come with me to help clean fish ponds. So I was like, hey, I need money, and I kind of need to get out the house, so I'll give it a try. So I started cleaning fish ponds with him, and I was like, this money's pretty good, actually. As long as you don't mind getting like wet and dirty, then it's decent money. And so I just kept doing that. And then I started working for another company, and I still do that too. I do that like 1 day a week. I go clean fish ponds for just extra cash. So like, I was like, at some point, it was like the middle of winter. It was cold as fuck. It was like 8:30 in the morning. I was up in the hills of Pasadena, and I was like waist deep in a fish pond. I was like, you know what? I got to go back into podcasting. That was like 2 years ago. So that's when I decided, all right, you know what? No, I'm going to go back into really pursuing podcasting, and still doing, it's kind of like my side job that I do. So I still do it. It's nice to get out once a day and do it.
Yeah, that's fun. But that's funny because I do have a pond that's in back that,
Oh, yeah?
No, I built above ground pond for a turtle that we have. Sure. So I've also built another one somewhere. It's really cool. But anyways, it's not the pond. The pond
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll do that another time. But anyways, so obviously I know Pasadena's freaking cold during the winter, and you don't want to be in that water.
Up in the hills. I went to one client, like not this past winter, but the one before, up in the hills of La Cañada, and it was snowing. I was like, fuck, dude. It was snowing out. I was like, okay. But yeah.
And you still got into that pond, huh?
Yeah, we gotta.
Yeah. But so you were still doing the podcasting on the side along with the pond cleaning. So it's a mouthful for me. But so as through the years, working with Carolla, working on the Crying Out Loud one.
Yeah.
How has this podcast industry changed over the years that you've seen? Obviously, everybody's got a podcast now, but.
So just in terms of me, so yeah, I was doing those 2 after, I left Adam, and then I was doing those 2 podcasts, and then, I guess really the biggest change is YouTube and how much people consume podcasts over video and over YouTube. When I was working for Adam, it was very much just an audio thing. Like, we weren't even recording video for a long time, or we were just kind of playing around. Like, it was not like very important to be dealing with YouTube or the video of it at all. And then it was, pretty soon after I left, or even like a year or 2 after I left, it actually wasn't really until I started Me and My Dad's podcast. So that's my main thing that I'm doing now. Me and My Dad's podcast called Just Fooling About. Again, my dad's Michael Biehn, the actor. And so we started as just an interview show. So he interviews other actors, and we've been doing it since July. We've been releasing it since July. And we were getting much more numbers on our YouTube than we were on like Spotify or Apple. And I didn't know as much about cameras, filming, editing, lighting. Like, I still don't. Like, I'm still learning all that stuff. So the video aspect to podcasts is what like really hit me when I started me and my dad's podcast, which is, I guess, the one which you were referring to earlier is like my podcast, the one I do it all. Everything is on me aside from doing the interview and booking guests. Like everything is on me. And so that was probably the biggest kind of wake up call when I started doing that. Like, oh, I need to really like figure this YouTube shit out.
Dude, it is, trust me, it is not easy, but like I'm looking at my camera, the everything I'm seeing. I threw this thing up so quick, and I don't even like the color right now. Trust me, I know what it is I know what it's like when it comes to crap. I need to have the right lighting. I need to have the right camera setting. If I don't have the right camera, it's not going to look good. People are going to be disinterested on YouTube because they're going to be like, "Ugh, he looks really dark." Yeah, I do. But
yeah, I mean, like the mindset for me has always been like, just the content is the most important thing. Like if it doesn't look good, that's one thing, but the content needs to be there first and foremost. Like if you can have the best looking background lighting in the world, but if your content isn't attracting viewers and holding them to your show, then like what does that matter? And so like I've always been that, but again, the more I've been doing YouTube and the more we started out real basic, and the more I've see comments like, dude, the fucking lighting or this or that, it's like, okay, I think it's a little bit, I gotta start. It is kind of important. Yeah, I gotta, dude, your thumbnails suck. It's like, oh yeah, okay, I gotta learn how to do better thumbnails. I'm still not very good at them, but yeah, I'm learning. And so but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to have your content. Just that needs to be first and foremost, because you can get the attention through the flashy looks and through the flashy thumbnails, but it's retention. It's holding that audience and having them come back. That's really the most important thing.
Yeah, and I've watched enough YouTube videos of like these tutorials that are out there, just random tutorials because I get bored at work, and the thumbnails catch my attention like quick.
Yeah.
And then I start getting on it, and like the dude is just annoying as hell. Or he starts talking like, so today we're going to be talking about this, and that. I'm like, oh my god, dude, I'm done. I don't even want to.
Yeah.
So yes, the content needs to be there, but also, yeah, then we have to dig into and start. I'm still not that great at the thumbnail.
Yeah, but you got a work in progress going on behind you. I mean, it's pretty clearly a work in progress. When you get it all together, then that's going to be a killer background. But yeah, it's clearly like a work in progress. I mean,
well, this is actually not even meant for this podcast. This is actually meant for another project that I'm working on.
It would be a killer background if you wanted it to be for the podcast.
I've got like there's 2 shelves that are going to be over here that will have this. Was it Back to the Future? Transformers and like 2 other movies, like 4 movies total on this side, along with all the collectibles that go along with it. Behind me is going to be more of my Star Wars stuff, along with obviously the screen that's right behind me. So yeah, it's a work in progress. I've been working on it for literally 4 months now.
Yeah,
just little by little.
Yeah,
so
sure.
But let's see. I'm like, I kind of am ignoring James. Normally, my partner is catching all these
comments
that are going through, and he's usually putting them up. I'm never good at that. That's what I'm not good at, really.
Well, it's tough when you're doing a podcast. Like if you have a co-host, that's one thing. But if you're, I don't ever do the live thing. I was talking to you at Comic-Con about that. I was like, you go live every time? Damn, dude. Like you're kind of putting some restrictions on yourself. But I mean, that's cool. People like to live comment and stuff, but to be hosting and reading comments at the same time, that's a lot to do.
It is, and then you also got to still keep one ear on your guests, and then one eye on this, and then you've got people like James, who's just he wants to talk crap about me too. James, I swear, I'm going to go up there to Sacramento. I'm going to beat you. Anyways, but it's a lot of fun because then our guests, or not just our guests, but our viewers get to know you, and then anytime they want to chime in and when they have a real question, James, then obviously we're going to shoot it over to you, and then you get to engage with them too, and they get to know you, and then they want to look up your stuff. That's why I decided to do this whole live stream thing, because it's a lot of fun, and it is fun to talk crap to friends that come on here, and they'll start making comments, and we'll be going back and forth. On our regular show, James goes off like this dude goes off. It's funny.
Yeah.
What do you say? Caelan, please don't make excuses for Eugene. He's got his issues. So anyways, all right. So podcasting it's not just a hobby for you. This is your job. But now we had mentioned geeking out and geek stuff, and I just mentioned a couple things of what I'm going to be putting up here. What's something that you like seriously geek out
Um, probably video games. I will really geek out on video games, and I kind of have a problem with it, honestly.
on? There's no
I
doubt.
Yeah, I have a very addictive personality, and I can kind of refrain from doing some of the other stuff. But video games is like, I have a gaming PC, and I had a gaming PC, and I had to go put it into storage because I couldn't stop playing it. I could not stop playing it. And like I have two small children that are 4 and 5. Like they need my attention. I can't be gaming for hours on end. So I took my gaming PC that I love so much and I had to store it away so I wouldn't play it. And then last year for my birthday in April, I went out and bought myself a place. I still have an Xbox 360, but that's just for like Netflix and shit. But I went out and I bought myself a PlayStation for my birthday because I wanted to play Helldivers more than anything. So I bought a PlayStation, and all my buddies on my podcast make fun of me for it because I'm constantly doing the same thing. I am taking it in. I'm like driving and taking it in and out of storage. So I'll drive it, I'll go get it from storage, and then I'll have it, and then I'll start playing, and I'll be okay. And then when I get to that point where I'm doing like 4 or 5 hours at a time, I got to be like, all right, no, you have work to do. You have kids to look after. You have to get this thing out of the house. So I have to literally take it and put it back into my storage unit. So I have a bit of a problem, but luckily I'm managing it okay.
Well, Caelan, we are here for you and for
Yeah.
anything we need.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I know the feeling. For me, it's comic books.
Okay.
Like I am, and this is the sad thing, and no one else is listening. But anyways, I literally have on in my desk inside one of the one of the little. It's a deep cabinet that's in there,
Mm-hmm.
filled. I've got a short box, which is one of the shorter ones that has you put your comics in, and then on top of that, there are bags still filled with comics that I haven't even read. I got them. I go to the comic book store, and I love the guys at the shop too because they're such great guys. But I go and I'll buy my books that I pulled, and then I bring them. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna read them. I'm gonna read them. They end up in that cupboard, and then
Yeah.
3 weeks later, I'm back over there. Oh man, I got more. Sweet. And they're like,
Yeah.
what do you think of such and such comic? I'm all, dude, it was awesome.
Yeah. 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 I never got into comics. The only comic So my other thing that I would say is my other like passion is TV shows. So I love like a good TV show. I love good limited series. And I got really into The Walking Dead after like it was the second season and they had taken like a mid-show break. And I had just like binged the first season and then the half of the season 2. And I got so into it, I went out and I bought all the Walking Dead comic books. And I read all the ones that they had available. I was going to the store to get all the new ones that came out. But yeah, that's the only comic book that I've really dived into.
And that's a great comic. The series, I love the series. I don't care what people say. They're like, oh my god, after season, yeah, what season was it where when
Negan.
no, I love that whole Negan series. Even though in the comic book it should have lasted longer, but I'm talking about when the whole bridge blew up and Rick was supposedly dead.
Oh yeah, see, I had given up on it at that point. I mean,
Really?
yeah, it was. I think the last season I left off was when Carl died. I think that's when I left off, and I remember Negan coming in, and everyone was so upset about him killing Glenn, and and I was like, this is from the comic books. This is great. This is great, but like unfortunately, I didn't really like Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan. I mean, he's great in it, but the problem is they're on AMC. They're on a show like Negan from the comic books is like, fuck this, fuck that. And he's this big, huge, loud, like boisterous guy. And James Dean Morgan, I think his name is, he was playing it like super cool, like, oh, I'm a cool guy, whatever. And I was like, no, this doesn't feel like Negan to me. And obviously he can't go around dropping F-bombs on AMC, but yeah, so I wasn't like, so that's when I kind of started to go off. And then I don't know. There were just things about it that bugged me. I think the problem with that show was there was too many episodes every season. Like it was like a 16 episode season, and it was like too much content. I think if they had just shrunk it down into like 8 to 10 episodes and really focused on it, it would have been a lot more substantial. I think that was kind of my problem with it.
Really? Because, I mean, when you think about, like, I mean, back in the day, TV shows were 24 between 24 and 22 episodes.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that those episodes were 30 minutes. Well, roughly 30 minutes because of commercials.
Yeah.
40. So that's why it felt like we got a lot, but we didn't get a lot. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And, it just started to shift, the shows just kind of slowly became like 12 episodes, and then some became like 8 episodes. And while I love more content, I just found those shows that were going shorter episodes, it was a lot better. They weren't having to like overstretch themselves. Like with The Walking Dead, just little things would bug me. They would be like out in a forest, right? And they'd all be kind of like walking around in a forest, which is very loud. And they'd cut the camera like really close up on somebody, and some zombie would just pop right out and kill somebody. And it's a zombie story. It's not supposed to be realistic, but I'm going like, they would have heard that zombie. He couldn't just pop out like that. That doesn't make sense. And yeah, I think they just like overstretched it a little bit. But I think if they had kept it, to what I think is kind of the standard these days, 8 to 10 episodes, I think that it would have been better. But yeah, I kind of slowly fell off after they got out of the prison.
You know what? I stopped for a little while, and then I jumped back in, and I had to finish it. I had to just go through. I'm one of those. It's like, look, I got to complete it. Some shows, I get to the very end, and then I literally stop before that last episode because I feel like, well, if I watch this episode,
then it's over.
Yes.
I'll do that with video games. I still haven't 100% beaten The Witcher because I don't want it to be over. I don't want to like have it also, and it is on my gaming PC, so I can't actually finish it. But I was doing everything I could not to finish The Witcher because I didn't want it to be over. But like with The Walking Dead, my dad did an episode in the final season, and I turned it back on. I was like, oh, okay, let's see what's going on here. I had no idea what was going on. People were walking around with like body armor and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, well, this is all right.
It was actually those were actually pretty good episodes. So
yeah, and you know what, the showrunner on that show, oh fuck, I just had his name in my head and now I'm blanking on it. Oh, Greg Nicotero. So Greg Nicotero did the zombie special effects for Grindhouse, Planet Terror. Mm-hmm. So Grindhouse was Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino's double feature. Planet Terror was Robert Rodriguez's, and my dad played the sheriff in that half. And so I went out to Austin when he was doing that for like a couple of days, and I got to see it. And the zombie special effects, I don't know if you've seen Planet Terror, it's just like the zombie special, they're so good, they're so fun, they're so explosive. Yep. And then so I think they hired Greg Nicotero to start doing The Walking Dead, and all of the special effects on that show were fucking great. And he ended up like being the whole showrunner. Like he got promoted to the showrunner. So I was pretty happy to see like that guy that I had met and was showing me all the gross zombie shit ended up like promoting or working his way up to being showrunner of The Walking Dead. That was pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah, and I loved Planet Terror. Like
it's a fun fucking movie.
It is. I'm like a huge Robert Rodriguez fan.
Oh yeah.
Well, even when his book came out to talk about how he filmed El Mariachi, I had to go out and buy it.
You know what? I just saw that he was on Rogan last week, and I listened to his episode, and he was talking about doing that movie and a bunch of other stuff too. It was actually like really inspiring, and I was like, it was a fucking great interview. And he talked all about how he started with mariachi, and which I had never known before. That was super interesting how he did that. I had never known that.
Dude, doing drug trials to get cash, all that other stuff to get cash, and then he goes over the border to go shoot his film, and he
makes it for $7,000.
Yep, dude,
crazy, dude. That's unheard of. That's impossible. It's impossible to do. Learning how to do every single job is like, dude, that's makes him who he is. He's a fucking awesome dude, awesome filmmaker. I love Robert Rodriguez. He just does whatever he wants to, it's like, he doesn't like, he's just like, fuck it, I'm just going to do what I want. And yeah, he's great. I love Robert Rodriguez.
Dude, yeah, like that, his book, hearing the story of how he shot everything, it's seriously inspiring. Like I wanted to get out there and start shooting more after I had seen that.
Yeah.
And I did. I started shooting more stuff and had fun with it, but never got to that point with.
Right. Yeah. No, I was listening to his interview the other day. I was like, I want to be a filmmaker now.
Hey, you know what? Let's do it, man. Let's get out
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Let's go shoot something. I don't know what.
Let's go cross the border into Mexico and make a $7,000. I don't know.
Well, maybe now it might be a little bit more, like 14,000, but it's still feasible.
Yeah.
I'll go help you clean some ponds, man, and we'll just get the money that way.
Yeah. Right.
So, all right, Walking Dead is one of the shows that you like geeked out on. What are the shows like? What are you watching right now?
Well, right now I'm watching. It's literally on my TV. It's called The Eternaut. Eternaut. I don't know. It's this Argentinian show on Netflix that just came out yesterday. I'm watching like if it's on like okay. So right now the best show that I think that's on that I'm watching every week is Mobland with Tom Hardy.
Man,
That
yes.
show fucking rules.
Sick.
Yeah, that show is fucking awesome. And he actually just came out with a movie on Netflix too that I fucking hated. So I was really bummed about that. Yeah, I hated it. I'm the biggest Tom Hardy fan. I love anything Tom Hardy does. He's one of my favorites. And yeah, that movie bugged the shit out of me. But I was like, luckily I still have Mobland. It's the best show. And then of course Andor. They just released their second. There's 6 episodes. They're doing 3 at a time, which is kind of a new thing actually. Normally they do 2, but they're doing 3 episodes at a time. And so I just finished binging the newest 3 yesterday.
Oh, they're already out? Holy crap. So, all right. I got to say, so with Andor, so last year I did the free comic book day over at Golden Apple. And I guess Disney was throwing them like all kinds of like free DVDs and all kinds of other stuff to give out during that day. And we were doing these like little trivia things to give out, you know, whether you can pick like, was it Falcon and, oh God, what was that one show with Falcon and Bucky?
Yeah, is the new Falcon and, no, not the Winter Soldier.
It
was him and the Winter Soldier, yeah.
Well, it was Falcon and Winter Soldier. And then they gave us like the Obi-Wan show and they gave us Andor. They gave us a bunch of stuff to give out. So people kept coming up and they're like, so yeah, I want to answer a question and I wanted Andor DVD. I'm like, Andor, like I only made it through 3 episodes because I was just like, this is not Star Wars to me because it's it's so intrigue and all this other stuff behind the scenes that I'm like, you know.
It's you know, I'm not like a huge Star Wars guy. Like I love Star Wars, but when you compare it to like real Star Wars fans, like I'm not a real Star Wars fan, you know. I definitely love Star Wars and you know, it's like, you know, they came out strong with The Mandalorian and then kind of everything after that was just like, all right, you know, I liked Obi-Wan, that was cool, but like Andor was the one where it was like, okay, this is different. This isn't like kind of normal Star Wars, and it works. I think it's their best show aside The Mandalorian, and it's like it's more of a kind of like spy thriller than it is like an action show, and I think that difference like made it stand out from the rest. And I wish they would kind of, you know, take a gamble on doing that again, because some of the other ones that have come out. I mean, I tried to watch Acolyte. I tried to watch. I didn't. I got like midway through the 2nd episode. I was like, "Fuck this, dude. This is dog shit." And so I kind of wish that they would go out of their comfort zone a little more and try some other different stuff, because you know what they keep putting out just like isn't working for me.
You know, and it's not working because like with Acolyte, they broke some of their own rules. So that's where it was just like, it's not good. You know, it's boring. But I did go back and started watching Andor again. Went through it, and I was all like, holy crap, okay. I'm getting it. And then that last half of the season 1, I was like, holy crap, this is actually really good.
Yeah.
The whole prison break, the whole fight, I was like, oh. And then when that one lady, his mom, that whole...
the hologram.
And she's just like, fight the Empire. I was like, I want to go. I was inspired. So, yeah, now I'm into it. Now the 2nd season is actually really good. And now we're starting to see what Andor is supposed to be, because we got a taste of him in Rogue One.
Right. And Rogue One is like, I mean, I guess that's like the best Star Wars movie that they've really put. I mean, Rogue One is so fucking awesome, dude. Like,
Yeah.
that's a great fucking movie too. And it's funny because I heard they had like a bunch of problems at the end of that. They were like rewriting the whole final scene with them up on the tower, and there was a bunch of problems in production with that movie, and they had to end up like changing the story, and it ended up working out. I mean, that final scene with Vader in the fucking aircraft is like one of the most badass fucking scenes ever. And I like it too because it is kind of like you know what's going to happen to him. We've already seen it, so it's like it has the opportunity to kind of do what, you know. I like it and I don't like it when a show only runs like 3 seasons. Like it's again, it's that thing of like you don't want too much content. You want to like bring it back in and really hone in on like what you have. And I feel like they only have about like 3 seasons of Andor that they'd be able to do. And so I kind of like when shows do that, even though I wish there was more. I think it makes the content better. You know, you kind of always leaving the audience wanting more type of thing.
Yeah, and I was reading, I think it was Diego Luna that said that once you're done watching this season of Andor, go back and watch Rogue One, and so much more stuff will start to make sense, and you'll be watching it in a whole different light. Which I'm like, all right, so I got to finish this season, and I'm going to go back and I'll watch Rogue One. So, but all right, so now let's we're talking about what you would like to watch right now. You know, Andor, Mobland, great shows.
Yeah.
But let's go back in time to when you were younger, and what was stuff that you were geeking out back then?
You know, younger, I didn't really geek out too much on TV shows. It was, you know, I watched Nickelodeon growing up as a kid. Again, once I got to the old enough to where I wasn't watching just kids stuff anymore, it was all video games. It was all video games, and I didn't even. It was a problem. Like I was a World of Warcraft person, and so yeah, I got in on World of Warcraft like about a year before the first expansion pack, Burning Crusade. And so that took up all my time. I would like literally get myself up at 6 a.m. so I could start playing World of Warcraft on a Saturday, and I would play all into the night, like all day. That's all I did. So I was obsessed with that game. I would play nonstop. And so it was video games growing up that really took most of my attention. It wasn't really until I think it was Walking Dead that was the first show that I really just blew through that first season, and it was like, I need more. I love this. Go get the comic books. And then quickly after that, it was Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad was the same way. So like Walking Dead and Breaking Bad, I think were the 2 shows that like where I like discovered my love of TV shows, where I just could not stop thinking about them and couldn't wait for the next episode. Yeah, because you know, TV shows before that, they weren't really, you know, The Sopranos like changed the game in terms of TV shows, but I was kind of too young back then. So, you know, they had The Wire. I don't think they had a lot of like real big TV shows like that back in the day. So yeah, those are the 2 that got me started.
Yeah, I mean, when you really think about it, as far as like shows, so going further back when I was growing up, I had like the 18 Knight Rider.
Yeah.
You know, like all those really cool shows. And then as I got older, there was a few shows that were starting to stand out. A lot of shows, it was like your basic network television was starting to wane out as we go into like the 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like kid shows, like, you know, it was like it had just passed me, but like the Ninja Turtles. You know, my older brothers were real big Ninja Turtles. I had X-Men, so I was doing a little bit of X-Men as a kid, but yeah, those were just the kid shows really that I never got into. But yeah, it was right around that like 2000, mid 2000s where the TV shows really started kicking.
Well, yeah, and then because we started getting more on like HBO, and they were starting to become really good, and they were good shows. They weren't just like, you know, like all right, this is kind of cable, but
yeah, I was at a Comic-Con in San Diego, and I ran into a guy that was one of my ADs on. I was doing production work, and he was the assistant director on it, and I was working for him. And he had another assistant, and that I worked with on a project. And anyway, I saw the guy at Comic-Con, and I was like, "Hey, are you watching this show? I forget what it is." He's like, "No, fuck that, dude. I'm into fucking this new thing called Game of Thrones right now. And I was like, oh, what's Game of Thrones? He's like, dude, that's the fucking thing, Game of Thrones. And so this was like season 2 Game of Thrones before it really hit. You know, I don't think it really hit until the end of like season 3, like the Red Wedding.
Oh my god, yeah.
So I got into it like season 2, and that I became obsessed with Game of Thrones. I can't read. Like I can't read. Like my ADD, like I can't do it. But for Game of Thrones, I went out, I bought the books, I bought a fucking Westeros map that I like put on my wall that it was hung in my bedroom. Like I was obsessed with Game of Thrones. Like before the Red Wedding, which is what really I think shot it into like the stratosphere.
Did you buy a sword?
No, I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it. There's only 2 times I went online to see if I could get a replica sword, and one of them was Game of Thrones, and the other one was just a Kill Bill Hattori Hanzo sword. I never ended up pulling the trigger, but those are the 2 that I was at one point Googling.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. So did you ever watch Supernatural?
No.
Oh my god, that's such a great show. I love that show.
Yeah, no, I never got into that one.
Good stuff. But so, all right, TV movies. Do you have any movies that are like, aside from like, the movie that your dad was in, or any of them that?
I mean, I love movies, and I love all kinds of movies. Yeah, I mean, I love movies from every genre, and it's hard to like pick a favorite movie, but just in terms of like Quentin Tarantino is my guy. He's my favorite director. Anything he does, like I love anything Quentin Tarantino. I love Christopher Nolan. Pretty much his last 2, I was not quite the biggest fan of, but unless did Tenet come before or after the World War II one? Whatever. Yeah, so Christopher, I'll fucking watch Christopher Nolan movies. I love horror movies. I'm constantly going on Reddit, like being like, hey, what's the horror movie that I haven't heard of? What's the horror movie that the underrated one no one's seen? So I'm constantly looking for horror movies. But yeah, I'll watch pretty much any action for sure, any horror, any sci-fi. But yeah, there's so many out there.
So one of my things that I love doing, and because you mentioned like you're always out there looking for, what horror movie haven't I seen or whatever. I love watching, and David gives me tons of crap. My co-host David, and pretty much everybody now, because they're like, oh my god, I love watching those really bad B movies.
Oh yeah, sure. That's a genre that I don't do, but yeah, it's people like those and it's fine. But yeah, it's not my thing.
They're some of the worst, but some of the greatest movies ever. Like Tubi is where I live. Like I will use Tubi all day long because it has all the great.
Tubi's great for horror movies too. A lot of these underrated ones, I have to go on Tubi to find them. Yeah, that's a good place for the underrated and low budget movies for sure.
Did you watch? Was it The Monkey that just came out?
No, well, I'm very excited for it, but I don't very often go to the theater. I would like to. I just don't have time between my kids and doing all these podcasts and working. Like I don't even have time to play video games. So like unless it's like I think Dune 2 was the last movie I went to the theater for. Like it has to be like or like a Christopher Nolan movie or a Tarantino movie. Like it has to be something big. But I got to just wait for it to come out on streaming. And a lot of times I'll fucking I was like, you know what? I got to see Nosferatu. I got to watch it. So I fucking rented Nosferatu and I spent $20 on it. And the next fucking week it was on Paramount. And I was like, God damn it. Like if I just waited like a week, I would have been able to just watch this. So I don't often even rent the movies either, but I'm very excited for The Monkey. I believe the director of that, Osgood Perkins is his name, did the recent one with Nicolas Cage. What's that called? Long Legs.
Yes.
What
did you think of that movie?
I like that. It lost its kind of scary factor, I think, in like the second half. Like I thought the first half was really not really scary, but scary enough. And it was creepy. I liked it. I did like that movie. I know it was hyped up, and sometimes when movies get hyped up enough, and then you watch it, you go like, that wasn't as good as I was hoping. But I like that one a lot. And Nicolas Cage, I love Nicolas Cage. And so seeing him in that role is just great. But yeah, I do like a movie review segment on my podcast, The Water Cooler, and I did a dive into that movie, and I learned that Osgood Perkins is in the movie Legally Blonde. He plays like the nerdy guy in Legally Blonde,
Oh,
and just like
I didn't even
that's
know
where
that.
that's where I knew him from. And for him to go from that to being horror movies is just, it was a funny transition. But I've heard great things about The Monkey. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
It was actually really good. I was pleasantly surprised because I don't go into these movies nowadays because, like you said, the hype or whatever it is. I usually go into it like, but with this one, I was definitely pleasantly surprised. Happy that I rented it at home. I didn't go see it in the movie theater.
Right.
And going to movie theaters nowadays, it kind of sucks because you got to compete with, homeboy with his camera up or homegirl with her camera up, so everybody can see what they're watching. And I'm like, really? You don't need to do that.
Yeah. It's a bummer. I mean, I would definitely go to the movies if I had more time, but I just don't. So yeah.
Yeah, it's not as good as it used to be in my mind, and that's just my opinion. So, but
The seats are nice.
oh yeah, dude, the seats compared to when I was younger, holy crap! I'm like, hit that button, you're just like,
Yeah.
and then you hit the heater, and you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
that's it. It's like, all right, I guess I can watch this movie now.
Yeah, but again, unless it's like a Dune 2 where it's like a fucking epic, where it's a production, then I'm like, I can watch this at home.
Yeah, and I did want to go see Dune 2 or just Dune in general and Dune 2 in movie theater. I just didn't get a chance to. I'm kind of like you, where it's like it's just getting so busy that it's hard to get to a movie theater. I mean, I did see Wolverine and Deadpool and Wolverine in the movie theater, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I didn't think I was gonna like that movie as much as I did, but I didn't see it in the theater, but I watched it and I fucking loved it. Not that I didn't like the other two. I was just like, okay, it's gonna be more the same, whatever. And I watched it, and it was more the same. And I was like, oh, I love more the same. Oh, this is great, actually. I was like, and it was really fucking funny too. And yeah, that was a good one.
That was a great movie. But so when it came to like you doing all your production, like as being a production assistant, what was that like, and what were some of the movies that you actually got to work on?
So the first movie I worked on, it was like my senior project in high school. It was essentially at the high school I went to. They were like, okay, it's 2 weeks. Go do whatever you want for 2 weeks. And my dad was up in Canada filming a movie called The Divide, which was about like a nuclear explosion goes off and everyone in this building goes down into a bunker. And he plays like kind of the crazy, end of the world prepper or whatever, and he lets these people in the bunker, and then they live in the bunker together for like a year, and things get really fucked up. And so for my senior project, I went and I was a PA on that movie for 2 weeks, and I just love being on a set. I love being on a movie set. I've grown up on it, I grew up on it was a TV show called The Magnificent Seven that my dad was on. And it was a Western, obviously it was a Western. And so I kind of grew up just, running around there, and I loved it so much. And he had done a couple other shows, a couple other places. And I always just loved being on sets. I was like, I want to be a PA. I want to like work on movie sets. So yeah, I did The Divide up in Canada, which was really fucking fun. And yeah, and then it's a really fucked up movie. It's actually pretty good, although the ending's a little funny. But then I only did a couple other production stuff. I was going to school at Santa Monica because I was planning to transfer to like a film school. I was still working at Coffee Bean, so I didn't have a lot of time to do that. If you're, you got to film, it's 12-hour days, 5 days a week to do that kind of work. And so I found work. The first movie I worked on was a movie called Badass with Danny Trejo.
Oh my god,
And
that's a great movie.
yeah, so I worked, yeah, and I think Ron Perlman is in that movie as well. And so I worked on that movie for a week, and that was pretty fun. And everything else I did, like, you wouldn't know. I did something for like a museum up at the Greystone Mansion, talking about the murders up there. Did a couple music videos. But yeah, those were the only movies people would recognize would be The Divide or Badass.
I loved Badass. I'll have to look up the movie Divide and check that one out.
It's fun. Yeah, it's fun. It's got Milo Ventimiglia in it, who went on to do This Is Us, and he got big on that. And Rosanna Arquette is in it. Yeah, it's a fucking fun, kind of cheap. I wouldn't call it maybe a grindhousey type movie, but violent and fucked up, which are the kinds that I like. So, yeah.
It kind of sounds like was it the Blinko or Blinken experiment? Did you know?
The Belko experiment.
Belko, that's what it was. Yeah,
sure. Great. Yeah, love it.
That was a great movie.
Yeah,
I was like, holy crap, this movie's jacked up. I was like, but this was great.
I should rewatch that. It's been many years since I've seen it, but yeah, that's a really fun fucking movie.
That's a great one.
I think was that one of A24's like early movies? I think it was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was one of their earlier hits, and obviously they're they're the best now. But yeah, I think that was one of their earlier ones.
Dude, the movies that they're pumping out, it's like holy crap. The moment I hear it's A24, I'm like, all right, I know it's gonna be a pretty good movie, so we're gonna watch it.
Oh, I mean, yeah, A24, they're the shit. They put out the best movies, and so in like October. So we were doing the podcast. Me and my dad were doing the podcast, and he was like, "Hey, they hit me up to do this movie, and it's an A24 movie." And I was like, "Oh shit, you're gonna do a fucking A24 movie?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do an A24 movie." So in January, he went to go film this movie called Onslaught. So the director is Adam Wingard, who did You're Next, and he did the King Kong versus Godzilla movies.
Oh, okay.
And we interviewed him on Just Fooling About, our podcast, and he was after they had filmed, and he came in to talk about it. And it's like he wanted to like go back to kind of the indie spirit, not do one of those big ones anymore, and he has like full control over the movie, and he calls it a gonzo action horror movie, where it's just like it sounds like the fucking sickest thing I've ever heard. Like everything I've heard about the filming of this movie sounds great. I think it's supposed to be out late this year, but that's an A24 movie you got to keep your eyes on because it's going to be fucking awesome. I'm
definitely be keeping my eyes out for that one because that when you start mixing all these genres together like that, it's like, all right,
yeah,
I'm totally in. So, really quick, let's see, because James is just coming up. I gotta at least give you one of his, otherwise.
Yeah, go for it, James. Hit me.
He says, "What's the turnaround time from planning an episode to producing, to recording, editing, and then release?"
I mean, sometimes it's a day. Sometimes it's every week I record podcasts on Monday and I put it out on Tuesday. Yeah, the turnaround time can be just a day. Sometimes it's a week. Sometimes it's 3 weeks. Sometimes, I mean, I have episodes that we've recorded that I still haven't even put out yet because we're waiting. So it can be, I mean, you can, depending on the video aspect, if you're not concerned with the video aspect, the turnaround time can be as soon as you're done editing it, it could be 10 minutes. 10 minutes, it can already be out there. If you got to edit the video, it can be a little bit later, but it can be like as little or as long as you want it to be, honestly, which is pretty cool. Podcasting is very cool in the fact that like you can do whatever you want with them. There is kind of rules to it. Like you got to go every single week and you got to put it out every single week, but you can change the day you release it. You can change the format of it. You can kind of grow. It can kind of grow. You don't start a podcast and then it's just that forever. Like it evolves into like, oh, the audience, so like we were doing episodes, me and my dad's podcast, where he was interviewing actors. So he would interview like Carrie Elwes, and we had Edward Furlong on to talk about Terminator, and a couple of the Aliens cast members we had on there, and it was great. We loved doing these interviews, but we got to a point where we weren't able to book anybody because we were also wanting to keep it in studio. So like, we don't want to do remote. We want it in studio. And then finally it was like, okay, this is too tough. A lot of actors just don't live in LA anymore. A bunch of people moved out. So then we started doing these episodes where it's like, all right, well, fuck it. We don't need a guest. Let's just do me, my dad, and my dad's friend, Jim, who's over the phone, who just is a movie. And we just hang out and bullshit and talk movies. And he tells Hollywood stories. And we talk just to movies and influences and performances. And the audience on YouTube like started to like these episodes better than the other ones. Like we were getting more views on them and more comments on them. So we were like, all right, well, let's just start doing these every week instead. And then whenever we get a guest, then we'll just do an extra episode that week. So we completely like changed the format of it. And, you know, it's cool that you can just, you know, I can just, oh, my thumbnail looks like this. Well, I'm just going to redesign it. I'm going to do that. Oh, the music isn't where I'm going to just change that. So it can just evolve and grow, and it's fine. It doesn't need to stay one thing. And I like that about podcasting.
Yeah, and I've listened to a couple of the episodes. I haven't had a chance to go through them all. I've gone through quite a few of the episodes, but I really do enjoy them. And then I do like hearing when it is just you, your dad, and Jim talking about, you know, like I think it was one of your guests bowed out because
yeah.
I was like, yeah, what is that guy thinking? I want to get paid.
Yeah, he wanted like we had booked it. I booked the whole thing, and like I had to even push it a week, and then it was the day before, and I gave him the address, and he was like, "Oh, let's talk about my fee of a couple $100." I was like, "Oh yeah, we don't do that, man. If you want to come back in for free, like let me know. But until then, like don't even worry about it." So, but yeah, people like hearing. He's just got stories about. I mean, the episodes we put out last week, he had a horrible experience working for Billy Friedkin, who's a legendary director. I mean, you know, The Exorcist and, you know, The French Connection. And he just had a horrible experience working on a movie with him. And he doesn't give a fuck. He has no filter. He'll tell the whole story and he'll tell everything. And, you know, he doesn't give a shit. He'll be like, dude, fuck Stanley Kubrick. You know? It's like, he'll say a lot of like shit on there. And it's fun. Like a lot of the stories he tells in these podcasts, I've never even heard him before too. So it's fun hearing them from him. And, you know, we really started the podcast just because like we weren't really seeing each other that often. And he lives in the Valley and I live in Long Beach. But like I got 2 young kids. I'm working all the time. He's got my little brother. He's off doing Comic-Cons. And so I was just like, well, let's just start a podcast. We can hang out. It'll give us a reason to just see each other and work together and have fun. And so that's why we started it. And that's why we do it. And so it's really, you know, when you're doing podcasts, it's very easy to get, you know, like what's the word? Not sidetracked, but like, oh fuck, I don't want to do this anymore. Oh, I'm not getting enough viewers. I'm not getting enough listeners. You kind of get burnt out or something like that. And then you start to like doubt it. And like that happens to like every podcast that's coming up. And like, you just got to fucking fight through that. But luckily with our podcast, it's like, it's just, we're just hanging out and we're just fucking around. And, you know, as long as, you know, it's, you know, we're not getting paid for it. We're not at the point where we can like really make money from it. So, but that burnout doesn't really hit me because at the end of the day, we're just hanging out and fucking around and sharing fun stories. So it's easy to keep it going.
And that's, you know what, that's something that like a lot of guys out there that I've heard, and I've heard that story, that same story where it's like, oh, I was hanging out with a buddy, because that's how this whole thing got started, was just me and my buddy David were inside of a shack for 12 hours doing work, but we're huge geeks. We talk and we hang out and we're like, dude, let's record this. But I get also the thought of, damn, I'm not getting enough viewers. Mm-hmm. I'm putting all this work into this, I'm putting this into, you know, like
dude, people really underestimate the amount of work that goes into podcasts, because, you know, when it started, and you can do a podcast, like you got a recorder and some microphones and some editing software, anybody can do a podcast. And that's how it started back then. And then those podcasts went on to get big. It's at a point now where when you want to put out like a serious, real product, it is a lot of work. I mean, between securing the studio, recording the audio, recording the video, editing the audio, editing the video, cutting the social media clips, posting constantly, doing thumbnails, marketing, booking guests, like it is turned into this giant thing that, like, if you're doing it all yourself, it takes me fucking forever to do. Me and my dad's all the work I got to do for that, but it takes me fucking forever. But luckily, it's a constant thing, and you always got to be like, you need at least an episode every week, at least one episode. Then you got to do social media. Then you got to cut how many clips. Then you got to put those clips on, and then Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, which I haven't really been keeping up with a couple of those, but and there's another thing too. There's like a side thing that I found out where, you know, if you just, you know, if your episode's an hour and a half, 2 hours, you know, a lot of people aren't going to watch that whole thing. So you take a chunk of your podcast that's between 5 and 15 minutes, you clip that out, and then you post that on your YouTube channel. people are a lot more willing to go look at that one because it's shorter and whatever. So that's just another step in the process. That's like, it's just constantly editing and constantly putting things out. Oh, it's like a machine, and the machine just runs. It's just running and running and running and running, and you got to keep up with it all the time.
It is. It's a very daunting task. It is really hard, and also keeping up with the trends. I mean, you think you've got it nailed down,
yeah, and then you don't. Yeah, nope.
So, like, I think we had talked when we were at WonderCon about you were talking about clips, making these clips for TikTok, for YouTube, for Instagram. I've now let the freaking Skynet take care of everything for me now.
Oh yeah, the AI. I've started fucking around with some AI programs to help me out with some of that. But yeah, and I can do it for other people's podcasts. Like I'll upload theirs and I'll put it in. But when it comes to mine and me and my dad's, I'm a lot more meticulous. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm just gonna go do it myself.
Dude, you know what? For a while, I was doing that too. I was like, no, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be this.
And it doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't. No. I put too much. It doesn't. And it would be better if I just put more content out there that's more subpar. But I haven't been able to get over that yet. I probably will soon because I've fallen behind on our social media game. So I probably will start incorporating that soon. But yeah, I get it. It's just like, I don't even like social media, man. I don't post things on, I have them and I lurk around, but I don't post things on social media. I don't comment. I don't do any of that stuff. I just don't like it very much. It's a time suck. So yeah. And I was thinking about like, oh, well, maybe I can like hire someone to be like a social media manager, and the amount that they charge it's like, no, I guess I'm just going to do it all myself. Like it costs so much money to hire people. I mean, like the right people to be doing that all the time. And it's a full-time job. So I get it. But
yeah, I had a cousin who was a social media, like for a company. He was the content creator for them. And he was charging, like they ended up doing a whole, he was a subcontractor, but worked there, whatever. But he was charging at least $300 a week.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
On the low side, I was like, what the hell? He moved on to another place and was charging even more and picked up a couple of clients, and then he just got burnt out, and he's now a tattoo artist, which is cool.
Yeah. Hey, I don't blame him. Again, I don't like the social media game either, but I have to do it. And yeah, I think like managing a social media manager for a podcast, I heard probably going to cost you around like $2,500 a month.
Yeah.
To $3,000 a month. And I'm like, I don't know I probably wouldn't ever do that, but yeah, I just got to step up my social media game more, I guess. But I don't know any of the trends that are going on. I don't know like the algorithm. I don't know what to write in the description or the hashtags. Like I don't know any of that shit. So like, for our podcast, we haven't really done any promotion for it. We haven't really, my dad went on Jamie Kennedy's podcast. But only because Jamie Kennedy came on our podcast first. He's like, all right, I'll do. That's literally the only place aside from Comic-Cons, the one I met you at, where I was there and handing out cards. Like that was the first Comic-Con I had done that at, and it went pretty well. I think I'm going to go down to the one in San Diego now and do the same thing. But nice. aside from that, like we don't have any marketing. We don't have any like way to really promote the podcast that we've been doing. Because so. Keep doing what we're doing. I don't know.
I mean, I've definitely mentioned your show pretty much every week leading up to now.
Okay, good. Thank you're promoting it for me. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, because we were gonna have you on, so it's like, why not? I got to talk about you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's the way we grow in this podcast community. Yes, there are a bajillion podcasts out there.
A billion, yeah.
But really, it's kind of a small little world because
the thing about podcast, yeah, definitely. Like I've been a part of podcasts where it wasn't mine, but they would hire like a marketing team. We're going to do a promotional campaign for your podcast, and like they spend all this money, and it doesn't really move the needle at all. And like the biggest way to really do that is to like again put social media clips out there where people can find it, or go on other people's podcasts and just promote it that way. Those are like the two biggest ways to really promote the podcast. Or your podcast, whatever podcast. And again, we haven't really been doing a lot of that. But like I've never been on a podcast promoting my podcast until now. This is like the first one I've done aside from the ones I work on. But yeah, I'm hoping once this A24 movie drops, we'll get a little bit of a more opportunity to to get some interviews going and promote it a little bit.
That'd be awesome.
But yeah, growing your audience is so hard when it comes to podcasting. It's the hardest part, but also the good thing about podcasting is you can have these like pockets of people and in very niche like areas too. And you don't need to be like a Joe Rogan or an Adam Carolla to make money from your podcast or have it be successful. You just need like a core audience of like a couple thousand people. And it can be like a good, successful podcast with an audience of just like a couple thousand people. And like, you know, the one that I do with my buddies on like my Adam Carolla show friends that I do, it's like, you know, we have a couple thousand, but we have a Facebook group. Everyone's really active. We do meetups with them. So we talk to them. And so that's the cool thing about podcasting is you don't need like a huge audience. You just need like, you know, a couple thousand people that, you know, love your show and you're kind of good.
Yeah, we're still working on that. But, I mean, what we like to do is get out there and actually hit the grounds. So, you know, you saw me at WonderCon. That was one that I tried getting into to do media, but also have a booth. Didn't happen because they were looking for the numbers. And I'm like,
right, yeah, the numbers.
That numbers
the fucking numbers, dude. I hate the numbers. So many numbers. I hate it. But that's what I was talking to you about too. Like, a lot of people want to start podcasts and they want, you know, I mean, any podcaster wants their audience to grow and they want the numbers. But people be like, oh, I'm thinking about starting a podcast, blah, blah, blah. And I tell them, like, if your goal is to make money, don't do it. Like, only do the podcast you want to do if it's going to be fun. Like, if you really enjoy doing it, if you're happy with doing it for an audience of 2 people and it makes no money and you're doing it every week and you're happy and you're still excited to go, that's that mindset you need to have if you're going to have a podcast, because then, yeah, you're going to worry about the numbers, sure. But at the end of the day, you're still just doing something that's fun that you like doing. And so you got to keep that mindset going. And it's that mindset that helps you get through the, you know, the lulls that I was talking about earlier.
Oh yeah. And we've had those lulls. We actually took a break during Christmas time just so we could, you know, relax.
Yeah, breaks are those are fine.
But trying to get back into it was like, oh my God, this is hard.
Yeah.
But the thing is that once we get rolling, it's like, dude, it is a lot of fun. Yes, looking at those numbers, you're like, oh my God, why aren't my numbers? But if you, like you said, if you're still having fun, you know,
if you like doing it, then fuck it. Like, you know, as long as like you're able to support yourself elsewhere financially, and it's like, yeah, if you got like your friends that you're just hanging out with and you're fucking around, and yeah, I mean, you know, it's always good to take a professional aspect into it as well, where you are, you know, wanting to make it look better and you're wanting the product to be better. But at the end of the day, you want to just have fun. You want to just be having fun and doing what you want to do as kind of like a hobby. And if it makes money, great. And if not, well, at least I'm having fun.
Exactly. And that's why we do it. I mean, otherwise I would probably have given up a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of fun. It is something that, you know, obviously you are making money off of it, which is really cool, you know, and it's a rare thing.
Yeah. My own podcast, not very much. Other people's podcasts, sure, I'm making money off those ones, but yeah, it's been a lot tougher to make money on my own podcast.
You know, that's what's, we went over it. We're beating a dead horse. We keep saying it, but yeah, but you know what? Have fun. Love what you're doing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, give it up.
Yeah, I talked to someone today that had a podcast. They had good numbers, but they were like, I didn't like the production team I was working for, and it kind of started to feel like a job, and I didn't really like it, so I stopped doing it. I was like, fucking good for you. Good. You should stop doing it if you don't like it anymore. And now that she's away from that production team, she had producers telling her, like, you need to talk about this, and you need to do that. And I was like, no, fuck that. Don't let anybody tell you what to talk about. Just talk about whatever you want, and make sure you have. And now she's like, oh, yeah, and she's wanting to start it up again and get back into it. But, yeah, once it starts feeling like a job and you don't like doing it, then that's not going to be a good sign.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've always said is that once I've starting to feel the grind is getting to me, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. But it's not.
Sometimes, yeah, it will get to you sometimes. Like even, you know, me and my dad's podcast, there will still be times where I'm like, fuck, I got to edit that video. Fuck, I got to cut these clips. And it's like, yeah, it does feel like work. You know, it's not all just fun all the time. Like sometimes it is work too, but at the end of the day, I still love going into the studio and I love that hour or 2 hours that we spend recording and joking around. So some aspects of it are going to feel like work. It's not super fun editing audio and video all the time.
Yeah, but it's cool that you're doing it with your dad, which,
yeah.
I mean, come on, that's actually really cool to have later on in the years. And you're like, oh my God, I remember that one time.
It was just a nice fit. I've been doing podcasting for so long, and he, was just he's in between movies. He just does Comic-Cons. He doesn't really do much else. He's like, fucking, and he has no filter. He'll say anything. He'll say wild shit. And so I was like, you'd be pretty good on a podcast. Let's fucking start a podcast and hang out. And he's like, all right, let's do it.
That's funny. Yeah, it was really great meeting your dad too when we were at that con.
Yeah.
He surprised the hell out of me when he walked up behind me. He's just like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "Cool." That's kind of cool. All right. So, but you know what? We are going to call it because I know you've got kids that are there, and I don't want to keep you on too long.
Well, we've been going like an hour 15, and that's another cool thing about podcasts. This has been fun. I've liked talking to you, and I just looked at the clock like 10 minutes ago. I was like, fuck, we're over an hour already. Jeez, time, it flies by if you're having fun. So
yeah, and that's why I looked at it too. I was like, oh, geez, all right.
Yeah.
Sweet. But that's the other cool thing is that if you can keep just a conversation going with your guests, it just flies by, and they don't even realize it. We had I don't know if you ever heard of the Berkowitz brothers.
Mm-mm.
So they just did a comic book with Josh Gad, and
okay,
they're one brother is huge in like media, the other one is a journalist, but one's over in freaking Chicago, and one is over here up north in San Francisco. And we were just chatting, and they're like, "Well, how long is it going to go for?" And I was all like, "Well, I mean, we usually go about an hour." And the brother that was in Chicago was like, "Yeah, I can do that. Let me go get a big cup of coffee, and I'll keep going for a little while longer." We just went on, and we went literally for 2 hours.
Yeah. It'll fly by if you're having fun, and it's like. Yeah, because I've been a part of a lot of podcasts, and I've been a part of a lot of podcasts where not me personally on it talking as a guest or host, but producing, where I'm like, fuck, dude, this is boring as fuck, And so like, it is tough to be a podcast producer when you're not, connecting with that material. Like when I started out, it was Adam Carolla. It was a comedy show, and every show was 2 hours. It was comedians and actors and bits and phone calls, and it was always so fun. And then I left there, and I had to start doing some other podcasts where I'm like, fuck, dude, this is boring, man. Like, I want to go back and do that again. But when it's rolling and it's a lot of fun, podcasts are they're so much fun.
They are. They definitely are. And, like I said, we always get great comments. James I think he's still watching, but he usually comes in, he'll layer us with tons of questions for whatever guest, or he'll start talking crap. He was actually just on the show last week. I've got Instagram going too, which usually we'll get a few comments in there and people watching. So, people watching, they enjoy it. And I've actually had one person say, I've watched podcasts before, but yours, I can actually watch the whole thing for 2 hours. Well, really? He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, that's cool. Thanks.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's yeah, I never do the live thing. Maybe. Yeah, no, I probably won't incorporate the live thing. Yeah, no.
It's a little tougher, especially because you're saying like the one that you do with your dad, he's got no filter.
Yeah, he's got no filter.
Go live, and it's gonna be like, holy.
He says wild shit sometimes. Where I'm like, I don't know, should I edit that? No, I'm gonna keep it in and see what happens. But people comment on YouTube, and I reply to comments as long as they're like nice or funny. If somebody's just being a dick, I'll just be like, all right, whatever, I'll leave it alone. But they comment on YouTube, and I try and answer questions and stuff on our YouTube page. So
that's cool, man. Well, so all right, this is your chance to put it out there as far as the podcast that you're doing. Where can they find that particular one, which is you and your dad?
Right. So Just Fooling About, which is mainly a movie podcast. We've had a couple other people on there that are just interesting stories, but it's mainly a movie podcast. If you like that, it's Just Fooling About. It's available YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. We got, Instagram going for social media. And then the other podcast that I do, that's my podcast with my buddies, where, you know, it's just like kind of a fun hang, 5 dudes just busting balls. That's called The Water Cooler. And that's, you know, we've been doing it for over a decade, and you can get that on wherever you listen to podcasts. We don't have much of a YouTube presence on that one.
Which I've watched the YouTube of that particular
Oh, yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
Because you're like, yeah, this one would be a good one to watch. Because the other one was like, oh my God, what was the other one? I think you had mentioned if you watch reality shows.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I produce the guy that hosts Temptation Island. I produce his podcast. It's called Bonfire Talks with Mark Wahlberg. That's his name. His name's Mark Wahlberg. And so, yeah, I love him and I do that. But you were asking like, hey, what podcasts do you do? And I didn't want to just give you like 10 podcasts that were like, you know, I was like, just check out Just Fooling About in the Water Cooler. Those are my podcasts.
Yeah, I made the mistake of watching a little bit of Temptation Island when I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, no, you got to be in the reality TV game to get that one. Yeah.
But dude, seriously, it's been a lot of fun having you on, man. It was actually an awesome pleasure to meet you in person, and even, you know, talking there. I'd love to have you come back on, or, you know, we can go on each other's another show or whatever, man.
Yeah, it was fun, man. Yeah, I still got to talk to your co-host about Helldivers. Maybe it was a good thing he wasn't here today, because if he was, that would have been like probably an hour of content is me just talking about Helldivers to him nonstop. So, yeah.
Well, so really quick, Casper Van Dien.
Yeah, sure. Oh, see, that's why I love Hell. People say like, what games do I go? Helldivers. They go, what's that? I go, you ever seen Starship Troopers? Because it's essentially that, and they've made Starship Trooper games that aren't as good. I'm like, it's essentially that, but there's also Terminators and zombies. But I am a bug diver. I am a Casper Van Dien. I fight mainly on the bug front.
Well, with him, he's told me, he's all like, hey, check out this VR game that I have that I come on every once in a while. It's an actual Starship Troopers VR game.
I haven't seen the VR one. I know I think they've tried to put out a couple of them, and I've always wanted like a really good Starship Troopers game. But yeah, then Helldivers came out, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is better. Yeah, this is like So I'll play that game for hours and hours and hours, and I look on the Reddit page. You know, that's one of my Reddit pages, the Helldivers page. So yeah, don't even get me started on it. As you can tell, I can go on forever about it.
You know what? I'm gonna have to go out and get myself PlayStation 5 to be able to get onto some Helldivers.
Yeah.
I've been hearing so much about it that I'm like, all right, I gotta try it.
It's such a great game, and it's such a great community. Like the player base is like so the opposite of toxic, you know? Like some of those like first person shooters, like the player base can be such fucking dicks, but the Helldivers community, it's so great. And like the studio is great. They like, it seems like they listen to what the fucking players are telling them, and they make adjustments, and the whole thing is just fantastic. And it's like $40. It's not even, I heard today Xbox is going to be increasing their prices to $80 a game. And I was like, fuck, dude. Yeah. So it's only like $40, but it's all multiplayer. You can't play it unless you got multiplayer.
Man, now I got to go and buy something else. Gee. But you know what, Caelan? It's been great having you on, man. And like I said, we got to do this again. But I'm going to let you go. If you can hold on for like 5 minutes, just so I'll close out, and then, you know.
You got it, man. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, of course, man. Anytime. All right, guys, this has been Caelan Biehn. Check him out on his podcast. And I'll put a link in the bio so you can go to his podcast. So I'll be right back with Caelan. But for now, you guys are going to be stuck with this face. That's right. Let's get a close-up of this face. This face. All right, guys, thanks for joining us on, obviously, the Geek Saga. It's been a lot of fun having Caelan on, talking about podcasting and all the movies that he loves. Again, check out his podcast with him and his dad, Just Fooling About, and also his other podcast that he's on with the guys from Adam Carolla, Water Cooler. So, guys, it's been fun. It's always fun. It's always great. But I do have a sad thing to say, which is May 10th, I was going to be going out to WeCon at the Chatsworth Blockfest, And unfortunately, I will not be attending. I know you guys are sad. I know. I'm sorry. But we will still be at the Pasadena Comic-Con. Hopefully, I can get this thing up and running, and it can actually, because this is actually mobile, so I want to be able to take this around with me too. But we'll see. But I will be there at Pasadena Comic-Con, and we will be seeing a lot of great people there. I've already got DJ Lance, who said he'd probably stop by the booth to do an interview. We had him at LA Comic-Con, which he is my Dr. Pepper brother. And I don't mean that in the way. You guys stop. Anyways, I love talking to him. So we got a lot of other people that we're going to try to line up to come into the booth to talk to us. And we look forward to that. Guys, if you don't know, May is a month of cons. I mean, there are a ton of cons coming up. I can't make them to all of them, but you guys should check them out. Every weekend there's a con. Pasadena Comic-Con, Monster Palooza, Gem State, which is out in Boise, which Luke Danes is going to be there. Scott Patterson. If you guys don't know who he is, you guys should watch Gilmore Girls. I'm just saying. My daughter watches that show. Anyways, so guys, we will be back next week. I want to say Wednesday, but it might change. But we are having Adam Rose from Huge Detective coming on the show to talk to us about comic books and writing his comic book and everything else. He's been popping up at a lot of places, doing a lot of signings. I believe he's going to be doing a signing on Free Comic Book Day, which is this Saturday. So check that out. Guys, there's going to be a ton of signings at Golden Apple. Go down there, check them out. Along with We Can Be Heroes, they'll be doing something on Free Comic Book Day. Every comic book store is going to be doing it, and I'm missing out. I hate work. I hate being an adult at times. But anyways, all right, guys, that is it for me this week. Come back next week, same geek time, same geek channel, and hopefully without a honking car in the background. But we'll come back next week as the saga continues.